Welcome to the first season preview here on Common Media for the 2025-26 season. I'm your host, Connor Wilson. I'm doing this one solo. I'll most likely have other people for future previews. Some will just be me, others will have Matt Morbidelli, Andrew Arndt, who, if you're not familiar with the channel, because you're a Purdue fan and not a UConn fan, those are my two fellow co-hosts on How About Them Huskies. They're going to be in and out of this season preview series as well. But I kind of wanted to expand my knowledge and horizon around all of college basketball. I mostly just post UConn content on this channel, but I'm a big fan of college basketball as a whole, and I'm really excited to start up this new off-season slash preseason series previewing all of these teams. So we're starting out with the team I think has a chance to be the top team in the country. One, on opening day when the preseason poll releases, and two, maybe at the end of the season in April when they cut down the nets. That's the Purdue Boilermakers. Last season, they went 24-12, had a signature non-conference win against Alabama, number two Alabama at the time. In the NCAA tournament, they were a 4 seed. They defeated 13 seed High Point and 12 seed McNeese State before eventually falling in heartbreaking fashion to Houston, number 1 seed Houston, 62-60, on what was essentially a buzzer beater by Milo Suzan with point 0.2 seconds remaining. Heartbreaking defeat. In this series, I'll just only do this for this first episode, break it down, and we'll kind of just get right into it in the rest of the episodes. We're going to talk about some key returners, some key losses, some major additions, break down the non-conference schedule as a whole, and then kind of maybe give a season prediction or where I think they'll end up at the very end. Shouldn't be too long. I'm thinking going into it, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Maybe it'll be longer or shorter, depending on how long I talk for, but we'll just start with the key returners, and boy, does Purdue have some key returners. Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and Fletcher Lawyer, the big three, if you will, all averaged double figures last year. They're all back for their senior seasons. Braden Smith is one of the best point guards in America last year, if not the best point guard in America, averaging 8.7 assists per game. I feel like he has a chance to be one of the players on the short list come March and April for the National Player of the Year. He's just that good. And speaking of that good, Trey Kaufman-Renn, as a sophomore, he had one game with 20 plus points. Last year, he had 19 of them. He really broke out with Zach Edey departing, and Braden Smith, big assist guy, has to pass to somebody. Trey Kaufman averaged 20 points per game. He's another player that can be potentially an All-American in West Lafayette. And then Fletcher Lawyer, I feel like, is a bit underrated compared to those two because he's maybe not just as good, but he's someone that was a starter on a team that went to the title game 2 years ago, has been a starter with Braden Smith together. They've kind of gone hand in hand their whole careers. He's someone that can easily break out. I'm not saying All-American level, but certainly potentially high All Big Ten Conference honors. And looking down the list, CJ Cox, Jakari Harris, they'll be back. They'll probably both fight for a starting role. CJ Cox had that role down the stretch as we got towards the end of the season. I believe he made 20 to or so starts, maybe 23 starts. So he was the guy that Matt Painter was relying on kind of as that third guard, if you will. But Jakari Harris has the experience there as well. Daniel Jacobson is someone I feel like a lot of people forgot about. He's 7 foot tall, over 7 feet tall. He started the first two games for Purdue last year, got injured in the second game. He's someone, I don't know if he'll be a starter this year because we have some notable additions coming in, one specifically that might take the cake there. I'll talk about him in a moment here, but Daniel Jacobson, I feel like Purdue just keeps on finding these big men after Zach Edey. It was before Zach Edey. He wasn't the first one. Matt Painter has something for these 7'2", 7'3" centers that just dominate the sport of college basketball, and Jacobson is going to be that. Maybe not to Edey levels. I mean, he certainly has the potential, but interesting to see how he comes off of that injury. And then last key returner I have here, Raleigh Burgess. He played 31 games last year as kind of a big off-the-bench, front-court player off the bench. Not sure if his role is going to be huge this year, but he appeared in nearly every game for Purdue, even if it wasn't in major fashion. And as we move over to the key losses section for Purdue, most teams, this section is 6, 7, 8 names long. There's only 2 or 3 here for Purdue. Camden Heide, who I remember in that national championship game against UConn having that amazing putback dunk. He is gone. He has entered the portal. Miles Colvin is gone as well. He's someone that gave them good minutes last year. Will Berg, who is one of those 7 foot guys, he's no longer with the program either. But besides that, there's not really any key losses. Caleb First, he graduated. He was a starter, but he's someone I feel like didn't really move the needle for them. He was very good. at what he did, which is like be a glue guy. But he's not someone that, if he's not in the picture, means you're not going to win a game. So, not the end of the world that he's gone there, but I feel like Purdue really lucked out in the sense that they're not losing too much production from last year. Looking at the additions, there aren't too many because, like I said, not many people left, so you can't really have too many additions. The biggest one, Oscar Clough, the South Dakota State transfer, who also started his career at Washington State. He averaged 17.6 points, 12.3 rebounds per game with the Jackrabbits last year. One of the best players in the conference. He is someone, I don't think he's going to put up those numbers in the Big Ten at Purdue, but he's certainly a guy that can be a threat to get a double double any night. I personally think he has to slot into the starting lineup over a Daniel Jacobson. Maybe get creative and play the two of them next to each other. That'd be really fun for Matt Painter to do. But another guy who could potentially fight for a front court slash forward spot, North Florida transfer Liam Murphy started his career at Columbia with North Florida last year, who was very good to start the season. They had some really good wins that first week. He was a big part of that. 42% from three on nearly 8 attempts per game with North Florida this past season. He's someone that's going to make up for some losses on the perimeter. Guys like Colvin, Caleb Furst can knock down a three once in a while. He's going to make up for that. And then two freshmen rounding out the list, two highly touted, talented freshmen. Omer Meyer, I've seen the Oscar Meyer references going around Purdue Twitter and just Twitter as a whole, because with Clough and Meyer, it's Oscar Meyer, Omer Meyer, and then Antoine West, who's a guard who we don't know if he'll play too much, but I don't know how many people expected guys like Jakari Harris last year to have as big an impact as he did from day one. I can kind of see West playing a similar role there. If I had to make a prediction for this Purdue starting lineup, I feel like there's the three easy layups of Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, TKR, Trey Kaufman, Wren. You got to throw Oscar Clough in there at the five. And I'm going to go CJ Cox because he started a majority of the games last year, but a lot of bench minutes to be had for guys like Shakari Harris, Liam Murphy, Daniel Jacobson. Being able to have a big man rotation of Kaufman, Wren, Jacobson, and Oscar Clough, count Liam Murphy in there to play some stretch 4 minutes as well. You can even throw a Raleigh Burgess in there as like your safety net. That's one of the, if not the best and most talented front courts in the country, definitely the Big Ten. So that's really where they have their strengths this season. And they also have the best point guard, like I said. So Purdue's going to be really good. They're going to have to be tested, though, pretty early on, looking at this non-conference schedule. Notable games in the non-con. Not going to go through every single one. They have Alabama away. Like I mentioned, they defeated Alabama last season as their signature win in non-conference play. Marquette at home, which is always a tough team. Shaka Smart has very gritty teams. Even if he lost some talent with Cam Jones and others from this last season, he's going to have Marquette ready for that game. And the Purdue Marquette games, they happen pretty often. They're really fun from what I can remember. Iowa State at home is another one. Iowa State under TJ Otzelberger has really ballooned over the past few years. Is one of the top programs in college basketball. Not a crazy amount of postseason success in there, but every regular season they're near the top of the Big 12 the past handful of years. So that's going to be a good test at home. Auburn coming in. That's not technically at home. It is in Indy, which, I mean, it's still in Indiana. It's going to be essentially a Purdue semi-home game, which that's another phenomenal test. No more Janai Broom, so I might argue there's a front court advantage now for Purdue in that game, but that's going to be one of the premier non-conference games in the country. And then Purdue in their MTE, multi-team event, they're going to Baha Mar. They are playing Memphis in their first game, and then they are playing either Wake Forest or Texas Tech in their second game. Texas Tech would probably be the better resume matchup, so odds are I feel like that's the matchup you'll see with Purdue. Purdue should not, in theory, knock off Memphis. Texas Tech should knock off Wake Forest, so add Texas Tech into that mix potentially. You have Alabama, Marquette, Iowa State, Auburn, Memphis, Texas Tech, or Wake. That's not a terrible team either. That's up there near the top for best non-conference schedules in the country. It's not the best. There's some come to mind off the top of my head. UConn, I feel like, is near the top. So I don't think the schedule quite tops that. But overall, definitely one of the strongest in the Big Ten, non-conference wise. We'll have Purdue ready for the gauntlet that is the Big Ten Conference every single year. And to kind of wrap up now, the end of this quick little season preview, of Purdue. Hope you guys are enjoying this, Purdue fans or not. I'm going to try to get a bunch of these out, as many as I can before the season starts. Like I mentioned, Matt and Andrew will be joining sporadically as well. Maybe even some other people. Haven't really gone that deep, thought that much into it yet. But what is the ceiling of this Purdue team? That's kind of where we'll wrap up here. I feel like obviously an NCAA tournament team, not even going to say that. I feel like this team, with the veteran leadership of Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think their floor is second weekend, which is crazy to say. Not many teams have a floor of winning multiple tournament games. I think their ceiling easily is one of the handful of teams that can win the 2026 NCAA championship because of the leadership I mentioned. I remember when Smith and Lawyer were freshmen, the big talk about Purdue was, yeah, they're good. They have this Edey guy, but they're led by two freshman guards who don't have NCAA tournament experience. Well, guess what? Now they do. They've made it to a title game. They've played 3 years. That argument was made when Purdue lost to FDU, the 16th seed. So I could see that argument then, but I think this team overall has the potential to win it all. Probably one of, I'm not going to say that for every good team because I don't think that's the case. Probably one of maybe six teams, maybe even five teams. I'll make that statement, make that prediction. But yeah, I feel like they're that talented and it should be a really fun year in West Lafayette. And that'll do it here for this first Conman Media season preview of the 2025-26 season. Hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for the next one. We'll be previewing the St. John's Red Storm.